Close your eyes and think Fender. What do you see? A Strat? A Tele? Maybe a Jazzmaster? Fender's history is full of iconic instruments that your mind can recall in an instant. Today, we're going to talk about some Fender guitars that you probably wouldn't think of, and we're going to discuss the weirdest guitars that Fender ever made. Let's start with the most recent weirdos. In the 2010s, Fender started to remix its past with the Pawn Shop series. Guitars like the Pawn Shop 51, the Pawn Shop 72, and the Jaguarillo, these guitars look like someone chopped them up and rebuilt them in shop class. Half Strat, half Tele, part Jazzmaster, part Strat, you get the idea. Ever since then, this kind of mashup idea evolved into the Parallel Universe series and the Alternate Reality series. Some really cool oddball guitars in both of these series, including what I'm holding here, the Meteora, which originated in the Parallel Universe series with a Tele-style pickup layout, and then in the Alternate Reality series, it has this humbucker configuration. Now the Meteora is back as a full production model in the Player Plus series. Here we have the new Meteora guitar. This time around it has new Fireball humbuckers and a Strat style tremolo, and is joined by the Meteora bass. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of weird guitar shapes, I think about the 1960s, when many companies were experimenting with offset shapes and a lot of weird stuff. Let's talk about two from this era, the Swinger and the Maverick. The Swinger, also called the Arrow and the Music Lander, is part Music Master, part Bass 5, but its reshaped body is a bit more strange than either of those instruments. Since the 60s, it's popped up in a few forms over the years, with notable reissues coming out of Fender Japan. The Maverick, also known as the Fender Custom, has the split P-bass style pickups you'll find on the Fender Electric 12, and in fact some of the first Mavericks were 6-string guitars built with a 12-string headstock, with Fender just filling in the extra holes. We have here an original 1969 Maverick we're borrowing from our friends at Southside Guitars. You can find this exact guitar and many other guitars in their Reverb shop. Just check the link in the description below. And for you super fans of early Reverb demos, we have Jim from Reverb performing some examples. Fender wasn't particularly known for making a whole lot of hollow body guitars, so these next few are just kind of weird in that sense. Nonetheless, some super cool guitars. Let's talk about three of them. the Coronado, the Starcaster, and the Diaquisto. Roger Rossmeisel was a pioneering electric guitar designer, best known for creating the Rickenbacker's 300 guitar series and the 4000 bass series. In the early 60s, he jumped over to Fender and designed the Coronado. The Coronado was a thin, hollow body meant to compete against Gibson's ES-335. Available in many configurations, with or without a tremolo arm, as a guitar or bass, a 6-string or 12-string, the one we have today is actually a 12-string converted into a 6. Our next guitar became a cult classic decades after its original release, the Starcaster. First built between '76 and '82, it's been reissued numerous times since in Fender's Modern Players series, and today with many Squier variants. And next we have the Diaquisto. Perhaps the strangest hollow body Fender ever produced isn't even all that strange. It just doesn't look a whole lot like a Fender guitar. This 16-inch archtop looks more like a D'Angelico. In fact, it was designed by D'Angelico apprentice Jimmy Diaquisto and built in the 80s by Fender Japan. As Super Strats and other shredders attracted some attention away from Fender, the company tried a bit of everything to keep up. Let's talk about a few of these models, starting with maybe the strangest attempt, the Performer. We're borrowing this Performer from New York's Rivington Guitars. You can buy this exact guitar, lots of other great gear in its Reverb shop, linked below. The Performer has a wild angular body with 2 custom humbuckers angled to match. Originally built with a locking nut and a floating trim, the Performer was available in outlandish colors like this emerald mist. Unfortunately, it was not in production for too long. Fender also tried to take players away from the Flying V and the Randy Rhoads model from Jackson with the incredible Katana. A more successful attempt to capture the shredder market was the HM Strat, a straight from the 80s Super Strat that just happened to be built by Fender. First by Fender Japan, and then in the United States, and it was just reissued in 2020. last weird Fenders we're looking at today are two lesser-known student models, the Lead Series and the Fender Bullet. The Lead Series came in a bunch of different configurations. Here we have a Lead 3 that we're borrowing from Chicago Music Exchange. Like other Leads, it has a Strat-like shape that's not quite a Strat, but it also has two humbucker pickups and dual on-off toggle switches for each. And finally, also from our friends at Chicago Music Exchange, we have this Fender Bullet, which is not at all like the better-known Squier Bullet Strat. These Fender Bullets were designed by John Page, the same mind behind the Performer. But instead of sharp angles, the Bullet has a slim, Les Paul-like single-cut body. And there you have it, some of the weirdest guitars Fender ever made. Thanks again to Rivington Guitars, Chicago Music Exchange, and Southside Guitars for making this possible by sharing some of these instruments with us. Let us know if there are any other weird models that we missed. What are some of your favorite weird guitars, Fender or otherwise? Let us know in the comments. See you next time.